Paris, a report of a willingness of the United States to back a peacekeeping force led by Europe on Ukrainian soil after a peace deal is agreed. Emmanuel Macron said the security guarantees will be in place a day after peace is agreed upon. And Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner underlining the fact that there will be this US backstop underpinning all of this. Macron met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier on Tuesday, agreeing greater security measures to protect his country. Let's hear from French President Emmanuel Macron.
These security guarantees are key to ensuring that a peace agreement never means the surrender of Ukraine or a new threat to Ukraine. All participants in this meeting of volunteers want one thing: peace in Ukraine, peace in Europe.
That was Emmanuel Macron. Let's bring in Clovis Casali, who's at the Elysée Palace, the official residence, of course, of the President of France, and the place where all the action's been taking place today. Clovis, good evening to you. Tell us what you can about what has been said there.
Well, I've just left the room where this press conference took place. A historic day for Emmanuel Macron. All participants saying that significant progress has been made. Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, hailing this agreement. This agreement, for the first time, putting in place security guarantees once a ceasefire is reached. And of course, the presence of Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, saying Donald Trump believes the carnage has to stop, adamant that he wants peace as soon as possible. And the US taking part in this meeting of the coalition of the willing is significant. It's the first time a US delegation is taking part in a summit here in Paris of the coalition of the willing, and the US committing to a leadership when it comes to monitoring a potential ceasefire. This is if Vladimir Putin agrees, of course, to a peace, and they are the hardest yards still ahead. Those were the words of British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Also talking about sending potential troops to Ukraine. France and the UK ready to send troops if a ceasefire is reached, not to fight, of course, those boots on the ground, but to be some kind of a peacekeeping mission, if you will, to make sure the ceasefire is respected. And there was also a German Chancellor Merz who said that his country was ready to send troops to neighboring countries, neighbors of Ukraine. So a significant day here in Paris with this summit of the coalition of the willing, attended by Steve Witkoff, the envoy of Donald Trump, who also said that he believes we are very near a significant agreement for the US, an agreement on prosperity for Ukraine once peace is reached. By that he means, of course, reconstruction in Ukraine that would bring jobs and prosperity to Ukrainians. That's what Steve Witkoff said.
Indeed, Witkoff talked about that robust prosperity deal as he spoke about. Macron outlining the international force to be led by France, UK, Poland, Italy, Turkey. A real sense, Clovis, that there is a sense of unity behind Ukraine now. And as you say, underpinned by the fact that Kushner and Witkoff were there.
Absolutely, and that was a bit of a surprise because we weren't expecting them in the room for the press conference. They weren't announced beforehand, and of course it was a significant decision to have them in the room, or should I say from them to decide to be in front of journalists, answer questions. France, the UK ready to protect Ukrainian skies and land if a ceasefire is reached. And also it's important to mention that Turkey will be playing a pivotal vital role when it comes to maritime affairs, protecting the seas. That was also announced today during this meeting. And journalists during the press conference tried to ask questions about Greenland, because remember that Donald Trump has repeated again that he wants to take control of Greenland, that Greenland should be the 51st state of the US. Well, journalists asked questions about Greenland. Can the US be trusted? Well, the US always come in the defense of NATO members, because of course Denmark and Greenland are NATO members. So kind of a difficult situation there. I can tell you that no leader in the room really answered questions on Greenland, and Steve Witkoff didn't answer concerns either when he was asked about the situation in Greenland. And Donald Trump's words, of course, Europe did release a statement earlier today, not criticizing the US or antagonizing the US, but saying that Greenland was an essential priority. Those were the words, in order to bring about security on an international level, but also for the transatlantic level. Greenland's a priority. Greenland belongs to its people, and the territory belongs to Greenland and Denmark. Those were the words in the statement. Very clear, but not criticizing the US, of course.
Clovis Casali at the Elysée, thank you very much indeed for bringing us up to date with the latest on Ukraine, and of course that added bonus telling us about the take on the situation with Greenland. Clovis Casali observing all matters for us there at the Elysée Palace.